What's going on, folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to give you my first impressions on G2, Dinobot Swoop, and Sludge. Picked this up from Big Bad Toy Store. Not a sponsor, but I'm excited to dig into these. I did not own the 86, Studio Series 86 versions of these figures, so I'm really excited to get into these G2 colorways, which are based on prototype figures, if I remember correctly, that never actually got released. Whereas the other G2 Dinobots were all based on existing G2 figures. Go ahead and get these bad boys unboxed here. So, there they are. We've got Sludge, whose head comes, his Dino mode head comes off separately. We've got the accessory pack here, and we got both figures. So let's go ahead and get these guys released from their binds. Alright, so we've got both figures out of the box, and let's go ahead and get Sludge's head on. Looks like it snaps in. Let me double check the the instructions and make sure I do this right. Okay, dino head going down. Okay, I had it right the first time. There we go. And then let's go ahead and get these guys accessoried up. Okay, twin launchers go with his knife. Big blaster goes with Sludge. Let's see, which sword goes with which person? Does it say, or do they both go with? Apparently, both swords go with Swoop. I don't like that. I'm going to give one to Sludge for the time being, and one to Swoop. Right on. Alright, let's go ahead and take a closer look at Sludge and Swoop here. Let's go ahead and start with Sludge. Alright, so this guy very much looks like his SS86 counterpart. I don't think there's been any change to the head sculpt or anything. So that means at this point he's got all the same articulation and posability that you would expect from a proper leader class figure. Let's see if I can get into balance on a weird pose here. No. So, but it doesn't seem like I can get into balance at this point in time. It might be the desk pad I have. But he's a great figure. And I'm digging the orange. Now, again, I think I mentioned earlier that these were based, these colors for these figures were based on prototypes that were never actually released. So, besides their G1 colors, I don't think they've ever seen a G1S style coloration that wasn't the classic gray and silver. So, for the moment here, let's go ahead and bring in his G1 counterpart and see how they compare. So bringing in G1 Sludge here, we can see that the silver stripe on the head matches the G1 toy. Same with some of the extra like ear spikes, I would call them. I think, yeah, my copy's a little floppy. So I think these are a bit more exaggerated to follow the animation model versus the toy. I did notice this. Okay. Interesting difference here is on the toy, the tail folds up like this. On the G2 toy here, the tail folds up like this, whereas the tail folds down on the original G1. Just an interesting point I wanted to thought to call out. But they got the same blaster. And unfortunately, my G1 does not have his sword. But if I remember correctly, this is the sword he should have come with, or a similar style one he should have come with as a G1 toy. Now let's switch over to Swoop, and this guy's a lot of fun. I really love the bright neon colors on him. Now he's probably the one that sticks out the most as compared to the other G2 colored Dinobots because of how bright his colors are. So I probably could have seen him going with a different colorway to be more in line. But again, I believe this is based off a prototype figure that was never released, and even so, I do love the bright neon colors. I think they're great. Again, he is a leader class figure, so he's got all the posability that you would expect from a leader. Okay. The one thing I do want to call out here is he has a different head sculpt than his SS86 counterpart. And that head sculpt, let's bring in my G1, is actually, try to get a good look at it, very similar to the original G1. Now, folks might have been wondering why I chose to get the big sword to Sludge. It's because the sword I gave Swoop matches the sword from his G1 counterpart. So that was how I really made my decision on that one. But and even then, I don't even think the 86 version of Swoop has a version that matches the original toy colorway. I believe the only time they've done another red Swoop G1 style was during Power of the Primes, where they did a Generation Select red Swoop, which I do have. I just didn't feel like disassembling Volcanicus to bring out and show. Let's go and move this guy off. Let's see if I can transform these guys without looking at the instructions. They should be fairly straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Sludge. And here we have Sludge. Now, this guy had a fairly interesting transformation. He does a lot of flips and twirls to get the pieces where they need to be. I was not expecting that from him, but I really enjoyed it. It was a very fun transformation. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Swoop. All right, let's go get Swoop's sword out of his hand. And there we have Swoop in his dino mode. Oh, I have to pull out the last of the wings. Whoops. But he looks great. He's a very similar transformation to his G1 counterpart. So if you're familiar with that toy, you should be able to figure out this one fairly easily. Comparing these guys now in robot mode. Not robot mode. Dinosaur mode. Put the camera back a little here. These guys are still really fun in their dino mode. Now, Swoop, he doesn't really change the amount of coloration you see from him. He's still very much that green and blue all the way through. Doesn't really change. Whereas with Sludge, it's far more orange. And we get a bit more of the silver that you see on the traditional G1 toy. Is it silver on the G1 toy or is it gold? It's silver. Okay, yeah. And the blue is hidden a bit more. So, he definitely becomes more colorful, I'll say. With orange becoming more the primary focus in this mode. Bringing in the other G2 Dinobots for our group shot. And I gotta say, together, these guys make a great looking team. Now, I did not own the SS86 Dinobot set. And while at times I had considered picking it up, when they announced the classic G2 colors for the original 3, I figured, there you go. That's going to be my representation for Dinobots in my collection. For a modern chug style. And then they went ahead and announced Sludge and Swoop. I'm like, yep, I'm getting them. Absolutely, I'm getting them. And I'm so glad I did, because these guys look great. So, thanks for joining me on my first impressions of these figures. Still playing with the style a bit, so if you like this content, please consider throwing it a like. If you like the content like this, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.